In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the HTML editor in Moodle 2.6. And it's a lot simpler than it sounds, because if you can use Microsoft Word or a similar product, you can use the HTML editor. I'm going to show you how to use it to do three things. Firstly, how to create a web page. Secondly, how to create a label. And thirdly, how to create an HTML block. In particular, we're going to create a contact block for your course. With editing turned on, click Add an Activity or Resource and scroll down to Page and click Add. So adding a new page to your topic, we type in a name and a description for that page. And now let's look at the HTML editor. You should recognize a good number of these icons from using Word, for example. Firstly, we have the toolbar toggle, which maximizes and minimizes the number of icons that we have. If I put in some text, you can do all the sorts of things that you can do in a Word editing package. So I can choose that to be heading 1. I can bold or italicize my text. I can underscore, strike through it, subscript or superscript. I can indent or unindent. I can align it to the right or to the left. I can align left, center or right my text. I can change the text color or the background color. And I can change the font family and the font size. There are a few other tools that are useful. There's an equation editor, and I'll leave you to play with that. You can insert various special characters. So for example, let's insert the pound sign. And I can insert tables. You can search the document using the binoculars here, do a find and replace. If you're cutting and pasting in HTML code from other places, you can clean up that messy code. You can remove the text formatting. You can paste as plain text or paste as a Word document. If I want to make the screen bigger, I just need to click the toggle full screen mode and it will go to full screen for easier editing. And if you have some familiarity with HTML, then you can click the Edit HTML Source and it opens up that. A few other bits and pieces. There's the bulleted list and the numbered list, as you'd be familiar with. There's an undo and a redo button. You can insert pictures, and we've seen that already in the context of updating or editing a profile pic. Insert emoticons. And this button here is Insert Moodle Media. And so if you upload a sound file or a movie file that Moodle recognizes, it will automatically spawn the appropriate player. Although given we have MetTube as a repository, I recommend that you don't do that. So that's just the basic HTML editor. As I say, if you can use Word, you can edit web pages. So let's just save and return to the course. And what you'll see straight away is that my page appears as a link. A few tips on HTML document creation or formatting. If I want to re-edit my document, I'll click the Edit drop down and then click Edit Settings. That will take me into my document. I can move it right. If I don't want participants to see it, I can hide it and that will grey it out, just as I can do for entire topics. If I want to create multiple HTML documents that use a similar template, I can click Duplicate. Oops. Slip of the mouse. Let's go back and try that again. Let's duplicate this document. And so I can then go in and edit that. If I want to change the title, you can see there's a pen next to the document itself. And so I can click and change that. My second page and hit enter. And so now I have two copies of the same document and I can go in and change the information in that. You can assign various roles as we saw accidentally earlier, and if I don't want it anymore, I can delete it. Now what about a label? Labels are similar but different to HTML pages in that the label will appear on my Moodle course, not as a link, but directly in the topic. So let's create a label, like so. And you'll see the same HTML editor, but there's fewer options now. So I can enter a label text or an image. You might want to design a banner to brighten up your page. So let's just put in my label, and I'll format the text to make it heading 1. And let's change the color, for example. Save and return to my course. And now you see the label appears on the page, whereas the web page itself appears as a link. So that's labels and basic HTML pages. We can also add a HTML block. So if I go down to the right hand side and click add and then choose HTML, it will add a new HTML block for me, and I can do all the sorts of things I could do with a web page or a label with my HTML block. Go click the wheel icon and I can now configure my new HTML block, which means I can edit it. So we're going to create a contact block for your course, which is something you should have on all your courses. So contact me, Pope, and an image of yourself would be good. And I'll put in contact hours, say, and then an email address. And what we'll do is we're going to use the hyperlink tool. So I highlight that text and click the chain, and now I use the coding mail to, and then a colon, and then my email address. And now after that, I can use the question mark to break things up and say question mark subject equals Moodle means that when this link is clicked, it will open an email package and it will send an email to me, mpope@bom.gov.au, and the subject line will read Moodle. So if I click insert now, you can see it's put that in there, and then save those changes. And if I scroll down now, I'll have my contact me, and there's my link to email me. So that's something you want to append to all your courses. So I've seen in this video that we can very easily create HTML documents without a knowledge of the underlying HTML. Pages appear as links on our course. A label appears on the actual course, and so you can insert images and so on to make your course more appealing. And then finally the HTML block, with which you can do a number of things, including create a contact block.